Photography can either be a profitable business or it can be a very expensive hobby. And it all depends on how good you are with managing your money. So in this video, I'm going to share 9 money mistakes with you that photographers typically make and that are sabotaging their careers. I have personally made a lot of these mistakes myself, so I'm speaking from experience. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Katja. I'm a former Oxford Law graduate turned photographer, and on this channel, I'm sharing everything with you that I know about the photography business. So this video has a 3-part structure because I found out that there are 3 main levers that you need to be controlling. And these 3 levers are your income, your expenses, and your planning. So let's dive right in and talk about the 9 money habits that can make or break your photography career. Let's look at the first part, and that's all about how you can maximize your income from your photography freelancing, from your photography business. And the number 1 mistake that I see within the first income lever is that you are undercharging for your photography services. I know, it's not so easy, especially when you're starting out, to know what exactly you should be charging. You don't have the experience yet. You don't know how to negotiate with clients yet, and you don't have any comps in terms of rates that other photographers are charging. But let me say this, one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is not to do your research in that particular area. So I think that if you don't want to be undercharging, you need to start doing your research, ask colleagues, talk to other people in your niche, and find out what are typical rates, and then create a price list for yourself that you can reference every time you are speaking to a client or you're getting a request from a client, and make sure that you're not insecure in this area, but that you know your worth, you know what type of service you want to be delivering, what are the deliverables, and what do you want to charge for that? Undercharging can get you into a lot of trouble. If you set the wrong rates with a client that then becomes a long-term client, then it will be very hard for you to up your prices in the future. So you need to make sure that you do your due diligence and do all the necessary research to set your rate at the right point. So mistake number 2 within the income lever that I see a lot of people making, and that I'm definitely guilty of making myself, and that is picking the wrong niche. I have a video on my channel about 10 photography career paths where I discuss different niches and the pros and the cons of getting into those niches. And what I see in a lot of people is that they go with what they love doing, and all of that is incredible. But if you're looking at photography as a business, then you might need to put some thought into the niche that you are picking, and make sure that the niche that you are picking is not a niche that is highly competitive and that has low rates. There are niches out there that pay super badly, and there are niches out there that pay super well. So if you want this to be a profitable business, pick a niche that is a profitable niche, and it will make your career and your life so much easier going into this path. But before I go on to the next point, if you have been getting some value from this video so far, please consider giving the like button a little tiny tap and subscribing to this channel. I would be happy to see you around. Thanks so much. So mistake number 3 that I see people make is that they're missing out on income for usage licenses. If you don't know what usage licenses are, you haven't made your homework as a photographer yet, because what you are selling as a photographer are not the pictures. You are selling the right to use those pictures that you made, that you remain the owner of in specific circumstances. Let me give you an example. If somebody comes to you, a small business owner, and they say, I need photos for my website, and you then shoot those photos and give those photos out, and then let's say half a year later, they want to do ads on Instagram, on Facebook, on Google, using those images that you shot. actually, they don't really have a right to that if you have negotiated with them properly. Because the job was, and the service and the product that you were offering was a usage license to use the photos for their website and not for any other purposes. And you need to be very specific in your contract and in your offers, defining what usage licenses you are giving away for that particular gig. Because if you've done your job correctly, then they know that if they want to use those photos for ads, they have to come back to you and pay you for an additional usage license to use those photos for advertising. Because those are two different usages, and you need to make sure that you make your income not just trading time for money, shooting the person, editing the images, but that you are also making some additional income from your usage licenses. So moving on to the next mistake that I see, and that is not utilizing upselling. So if you haven't heard of upselling or you don't know what that is, it's basically you have provided a product or a service to your customer, say a photo shoot, and your contract is for a certain package of images. Let's say that you agreed that you will be delivering 30 final images to a wedding couple, right? And then you provide them with a gallery with, say, 200 images that they can pick from. And let's say they then are interested in buying more images. So instead of 30, they want 50 images. You need to be ready for that. You need to have some packages, some pricing ready for your customer to be able to upsell them to the next step, whether that is more images, whether that is more usage licenses as discussed previously, or maybe that's even printable products like posters, fine art prints, framed prints, whatever that may be. If you don't have a concept for that and you don't know how to do that, and you're not making it easy for your clients to buy more things than you originally kind of negotiated on, then you are missing out on a different chunk of income that you could be making with that same gig that you already got. So while it is super important that you are not stunting your potential income with these first four mistakes, we are moving on now to the second part, which is all about how to keep your expenses low. So with money and finances, there's always these two sides to the equation. How much are you earning and how much are you spending? You need to make sure that you are controlling both these levers. So now let's look at lever 2, the expenses part. So mistake number 5 is one that I see a lot of photographers do, actually most photographers do, because it's so easy to make, and that is to be overspending on gear and gadgets. And think about it, this is a supernatural part of progressing, right? Because you are acquiring new skills, you are learning new things, you are finding out about all these amazing tools and camera gear out there, these cool lenses, these cool camera bodies, these cool gimbals, these cool lights, these cool flashes, these cool tripods, and all of that jazz. And of course, these are the new shining objects that every photographer wants to have in their arsenal, because they are convincing themselves that their work is going to be so much better once they have all this new stuff, right? And because I don't want you to be overspending on new gear and instead buy used photography gear, I want to talk about MPB, the sponsor of today's video. So MPB is a platform where you can buy and sell used photography gear that has been tested by experts to make sure that every piece of equipment that you buy is working properly. So you can buy your favorite camera bodies and your favorite lenses, tripods, backpacks, and anything else that you need photography related, while being sure that the quality you are getting is pristine. And the reason why I think MPB is such an amazing platform for photographers is actually mistake number 6 on the list, and that is hoarding your gear that you are not using anymore. Because on MPB, you can easily go online and sell any piece of equipment that you no longer use or need, so somebody else can actually have fun with that and you get some money back for your gear. I have used the platform before myself, and I love that they have some special discounts for photography students. So if you are a young photographer like me and you're still a student, check out the discounts on their website. I will link everything for you down below, and I thank MPB for sponsoring this segment of the video. Continuing to talk about expenses, I want to move on to mistake number 7 on the list, and that is not to be renting out an expensive studio space. I know that that's a very tempting thing to do once you have been moving some steps along in your photography career and you want that shiny studio for yourself, but that can add a big expense to your monthly bill, right? So instead of renting a fixed studio space that you always use, try in the beginning to tie that to the jobs that you are getting. So whenever you get a gig that requires a studio space, even though that it's going to turn out to be a little bit more expensive than having your own space, you will be renting it each time that you need one. Doing it this way, you will ensure that you don't add additional pressure to yourself to earn that difference of income by keeping your expenses super low. So once we have our income somewhat under control and we have our expenses sorted out, we need an additional lever, which is part 3, and that is planning for the future. So within that lever, I see a huge mistake that people make, and that is underestimate the fluctuation of your income within that career, which is photography, right? You will have some months, and that is very natural in most businesses, and especially in a creative business like this one. You will have some very strong income months, and you will have some down seasons and low seasons, also depending on the niche that you are working in. So you need to be thinking ahead and planning ahead by having some business savings in your account, which you accumulate from month to month, building up that buffer for yourself so that when those low months hit you, that you are not struggling and changing your entire business plan, but that you have something to fall back on and just keep going as you would usually. The next big money mistake that I want to talk about is not diversifying your income. And I think a lot of you have seen this when the pandemic hit. So a lot of event photographers from one day to the next basically had all their income, all their gigs been taken away. And while it is especially difficult in an industry like ours, where we rely on, person-to-person contact and being present with each other in the room to take the photos, I still think that the point that we can learn from is that we need to have multiple sources of income coming in, which could be diversifying the niches that you work in. So maybe you're working in the wedding niche, but you also do some architecture photography, or you do portraits and headshots for actors like I do, but I also have a business corporate side where I work for businesses. Or maybe it's diversifying in a way where you not only offer photos, but you also offer video. Or not only do you offer photography as a service, but you're also selling prints. My main point is that you need to diversify those streams of income, especially in this day and age. And the next money mistake is a super important one. And oh my God, I think this has broken people's necks so many times and really, really impacted their trajectory within that business. And that is not saving up for your taxes, or, forgetting about your taxes, because that tax bill will come at the end of the year. And if you haven't made proper savings, thinking ahead for your taxes, then it can really, really impact your business, your growth, and make you really struggle. So if you are just taking away one thing from this video, is be prepared, have some business savings, have some savings for your taxes, and don't make that big mistake. So if you're currently working on your business, think about those 3 levers: income, expenses, and planning ahead. So if you want to be learning more about how to work the photography business, I have many videos on my channel and I can recommend for you to watch this next one, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.